Hello and welcome to this episode of Simply Saturday. As you can see, today I am focusing on these adorable papers that you cannot buy, but you can get them for free. Let's make a card. I'm going to be starting with a Granny Apple Green card base. And then I've cut 3 pieces of Melon Mambo cardstock. And these colors are coming from the designer series paper itself. So I know that all of these elements are going to coordinate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my pink strips onto the card base, starting with the middle one and working my way out. This way I can try to get it centered without doing any actual measuring. So I'm going to line those up, get them as straight as I can, and we're going to go ahead and attach those. So I've got my green glue here. I'm going to start with the middle one. Try not to disrupt the other 2 because they're right in place where I want them. All right, we can get this on. Now, I could have also attached my designer series paper to these pieces to begin with, and then done these same steps. So either way, you can go ahead and attach those to the pink strips if you want to, or follow along the way I'm doing it and just get your Melon Mambo strips on there first. Then we'll add the designer series paper in just a moment. All right, so there's 2 of my 3 and the final one. All right, that's really the hardest part of the card, only because you want them placed so that it's pleasing to the eye. It doesn't look too crooked or too uneven. And there we have it. Okay, now we're going to add our designer series paper on. So I have 3 pieces of the paper, and this is from the Toadstool Gardens. And I'm going to just decide what order I want these in. I'm going to go with that. All right, so again, grabbing my green glue, a little goes a long way. And I'm going to center my designer series paper in the Melon Mambo piece so that I have Melon Mambo showing all the way around the edges. The opportunity to get this paper for free is running out quickly. All right, my papers are in place. Now we're going to do a little bit of stamping. And so I need some basic white cardstock, and I've got some decent sized scraps here. All right, I'm going to stamp my toadstool. So I'm going to do a green toadstool, and I know that there may have been ink on this, so I'm going to give it a quick scrub on my Simply Chamois. Make sure that I got that clean so that I'm using a clean stamp. And now with my Granny Apple Green, I will place a toadstool image. This is the cap of the toadstool onto my cardstock, and then we're going to punch it out with the coordinating punch. So I can line that up easily, see what I'm doing, and punch that out. All right, then for the bottom part of my toadstool, I am going to use a large stem or base, and this one does not coordinate with the punch. And so we're not going to be able to punch this out. I'm actually going to fussy cut it out. And so I'm going to take a scrap here again and some crumb cake. Now, crumb cake is not necessarily one of the colors that is mentioned in the paper pack, but there's definitely a gray or a tan going on. And so for my card, I chose a crumb cake toadstool base. And as I mentioned, we're going to fussy cut that out. I would love to hear from you, and why don't you take this opportunity in the comments to let me know if you like fussy cutting or if you don't like it. Now, if you are new to the term fussy cutting, it just means that I'm cutting it out with scissors. So many of our images have either a coordinating die or a punch in which to cut the image out. But there's lots of images that don't coordinate with a die or a punch, and so we have to use our scissors, and it takes a little bit of care or fussiness to take a moment to cut these images out, and so that's where the term fussy cutting came from. Like many people, there is either a school of thought, kind of like with coloring. You either really like to color or you don't mind coloring, or you don't like it at all. It's kind of the same thing with the fussy cutting. Either you don't mind and it's a little bit like therapeutic, it slows you down, you have to think about what you're doing, it's kind of nice. Or you do not like fussy cutting with your scissors, and if it doesn't have a die or a punch, you're not cutting it out. So tell me which camp you are in when it comes to fussy cutting. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here so I can stick the base of my toadstool to the cap. Now here's another thing too. I have done this myself, and I've seen other people do it, where you kind of stick this on the back of the cap, and I think that that looks great. But technically it would come from right here. So on today's card, I'm going to mix it up a little bit, and I'm going to attach it right here. So it's coming out of the center of that toadstool cap. All right, so for something fun on this one, I wanted to bring in another punch. Now at this very moment, the to the point punch is sold out, but it's coming back. In fact, I believe it's coming back next week. It's due, I want to say the week of February 24th. You should always check back a few days before any date, any expected date, but it's definitely coming back. So I've punched out my shape from to the point punch, and I'm going to take those little words that are part of the Terrific Toadstools stamp set and stamp my words on this tag. Way over here to the edge, like so. And then my toadstool is going to get attached to this like that. Now, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of sponging. Now, if you have been a crafter, stamper for a long time, you will remember that sponging has been popular and then it goes away. It really has come and gone throughout the years, and it seems to be taking a little uptick in popularity. And you can do your sponging with lots of different devices. So you can use a stamping sponge, which we used to carry. You can use your blender brushes, which I do a lot of the time. But I also wanted to remind you about sponge daubers. Sponge daubers fit on your finger. They come in a little packet of, so you get multiple ones. And I'm just going to pick up my ink and scrape right down the sides of my cardstock, leaving a little pink shading. So easy to do. It's not a difficult technique at all. All right, so I'm taking that ink all the way around the edges, like so. Okay, now I will attach my little mushroom or toadstool right here, kind of hanging off like so. All right, let's take some dimensionals to put this all together. And I don't have any large ones within reach, so I'm going to grab my minis and just use a good handful of these. If you had the regular full-size ones, you could probably get away with fewer, but I'm going to use about 6 of them on here. maybe even 7, because I'll probably pop one up over there. So I've got my tag covered with those 6, and one out here, and one in the middle for good measure so that it doesn't sag in the middle. Okay, let's remove those backing pieces. And oh, I just pulled the whole thing off. Like I've said to you in a previous video, I'm going to hold this just off camera so that I can peel these off without having them all over my glass. They tend to cling, see that? And as I'm filming, they're difficult to get out of the way. So I'm just going to move this off of camera, and all I'm doing is pulling the backings off of those dimensionals that we already placed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Did I get them all? Missed one. Okay, so now these are all sticky. Those little backings have been removed and are safely in my wastebasket. That one little one was stubborn. That's exactly why I didn't do it that way. All right, so I'm going to take my little focal point here and choose to just drop it right here. The last thing that I'm going to do is add some embellishments, and these are the purple adhesive backed sequins. And there's a variety of little shades of purple. I'm going to go with this lightest color that's really almost a pink. And attach a couple of these to that little tag that I made. A large one, a small one, and another large one. Like so. Super cute. How about we stamp something for the inside? We don't want to leave it blank. I have a white piece of cardstock here, and I think what I'll do is grab this stem, and only because I did the crumb cake on the front, I'm going to stick with crumb cake, and I'm going to make a little crumb cake stem here. Like so. And then let's add some little mushroom caps to that. And I'll stick with my Melon Mambo to keep it easy, although fresh freesia or pumpkin pie would also look great. So I'm just going to put 2 of these little guys right there. And that can be the inside of our cute Fast and Easy card for today. Now, I am going to show you a very, very, very similar card. Kind of starts the same, but I finish it differently. And so if you want to stay tuned for that, I'm going to go right into the second version of this card. And again, the whole idea is showing you this super cute paper. The designer series paper is adorable. All right, there we have our Fast and Easy card. Let's rewind and start again, and we'll change it up this time. So I again have a Granny Apple Green card base. This time I'm taking a large panel of one of those pieces of designer series paper, and I'm going to put it on the front of the card, filling it. It's just a tiny bit smaller than my card base. I need to slide it. There we go. I just picked it up instead. And I still need to go to the left. Thank goodness for green glue. I could not have done that if I had used my Stampin' Seal, which I also like, but it has its place. Okay, there's our little background paper. Now we're going to take those same Melon Mambo strips and some designer series paper, and let's do it the other way this time. Since I told you that it could be done this way, we're going to attach our paper to the pink strips, and then we'll put them on the card front. I chose a little bit differently on my papers, so this again is a cute pattern, but it is a different one from the first card. This piece is the same. I really like that swirl with all the colors. And then I chose the green leafy piece this time instead of the pink speckles. All right, 2 of the 3. And there's the 3rd. All right, now we're going to use the same process for getting it placed onto the card. We want to start with the middle, like so, and then build out from there. You can see that that adorable little rainbow color of toadstools on the paper is just creating a soft background. Really kind of cute. Okay, let's get this middle one in place. I feel like all it does is reinforce that we are using mushrooms. It's not really meant to be completely seen. It's just setting a little bit of that background for us. And then we're carrying out the theme with the rest of the toadstools. Toadstools, mushrooms. Can we use those words interchangeably? The stamp set is called Terrific Toadstools, but right at this moment, I'm not sure that I could define the difference between that and a mushroom. Unless, okay, you can tell me if I'm right. You can fact check it or Google it. Maybe a mushroom is like the thing that we eat. I mean, some people eat them. I'm not crazy for mushrooms, but maybe the mushroom is that growing little thing that we cook or eat raw in salads, and a toadstool is just the ugly thing that grows in your grass or in your garden. Is that the difference? All right, there's our card front. It's a little bit busier, but we've got that cute background that is just kind of making it pop in a different way. So let's finish the front slightly the same, but with different twist to it. So once again, I will do a green toadstool cap. And we'll punch that out. And then I will do the same stem. Actually, I can use this with my crumb cake. Okay, so that part's the same. And then I'm going to change it up when we get to the words. All right, there's our stem. And once again, back to the fussy cutting. This doesn't take long. So we talked in the first card about if you like fussy cutting or if you don't, if you prefer a die or a punch. Well, let's just say we all would prefer a die or a punch, but when it comes down to it, I don't mind doing a little bit of fussy cutting. I kind of like it. And some people just don't like it at all. So here today, I did it twice and didn't mind at all. All right, there we have our little image. I'm going to put it together. Little dab here. This time, instead of using that little tag with the to the point punch, I'm just going to attach my image right here to the front of the card. I am going to pop it up with a couple of dimensionals. I must have put them in my drawer. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to go right up the stem. Up to the top. Like so. I'll remove those dimensionals backings. And then we'll put this directly onto the card, like so. I think that's cute. Okay, for our greeting, we're going to take a white piece of cardstock, decide what words to use on this one, because we could certainly use the same, just a little thank you. Or this time, let's use You Are Magical. It's just a little bit larger, and so it's going to cover a teeny bit more space, which I think we need on this one. So I'm going to stick with my Melon Mambo. Let's keep it fast and easy. That ink is already out. Onto my scrap, and then I'm going to cut this down. So I'm going to take a large blade scissor. You could use your trimmer to do this, but I'm going to use this to cut it down on each end. I don't even need to cut much off of this side. And then I'm going to also cut it down at the top. I find that the large blade scissor is just easier for this if I'm eyeballing it. With my paper snips, which I love, I would have to cut 2 or 3 times, and the chance of it going a little crooked is bigger for me. Maybe you don't have any problem with that, but I tend to do better making those big cuts with my big blade scissor. I still didn't go very straight on this one. Let's see if I can straighten it out. Otherwise, I'll grab my paper trimmer. Okay, there we have that. Actually, that scrap is plenty big to use for something else. All right, I'm going to, I need to decide if I'm going to add sponging on this little piece. I was straightening it out a teeny bit again, or not. I think I will not. Let's just get it onto the card. All right. I have tried to straighten the bottom out twice, and I'm still not happy with it. So much for me trying to eyeball it. All right, let's grab the paper trimmer and get this straight once and for all. Should I have started with this? Probably so. Okay, the bottom is perfectly straight now, and I need to straighten out the top. I am going to run out of paper, you guys. This is why we sometimes do it right from the beginning. I hope I don't have to do this whole thing over. Nope, we're saved. All right, this is going to go onto the front of the card. To finish it off, we'll put it like that, and I think it needs to be popped up as well. So let's grab a couple of minis. And add it to the card, and then we'll put a little bit of bling. Okay, this is just going to kind of peek out from under there. Like so. And now I'm going to go back to those sequins, and this time I'm going to use the lightest ones in the pack, which are basically white. They're like a pearlescent white. All right, and I'm going to go with a large, maybe all large on this one. There we go, 1, 2, 3. And there is our second version of this layout. I'll bring the first one back in so you can see both. Perhaps you like one over the other one, or maybe you like both and you want to try mixing it up yourself. There we have our fast and easy card for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, happy stamping.